the Experience Darden podcast. I'm your host, Brett Twitty, and you are listening to a new episode. On this episode of the podcast, I'm excited to share my recent conversation with Madelyn Merchant. Madelyn is a second-year student in our full-time MBA class of 2025, and she and I recently connected to talk more about her background, how she decided to pursue an MBA, what led her to Darden, how she spent her first year summer, her plans for her second year, and so much more. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. And as always, if this conversation is helpful for you, please like this episode and subscribe to the Experience Darden podcast so you never miss an update. And remember, you can always check the episode description for links to Darden blogs, social channels, and more. And now, without further ado, here's my conversation with Madelyn Merchant. Madelyn, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Brett. Great to be here. Appreciate it.
It's great to have you here. How's everything going? How are you doing?
Good. It's been a busy week. I can't believe it is the last week of Q1. It totally flew by.
Amazing. I feel like second year goes very quickly for people. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because it's the final year. You're picking your classes, just really busy. Next thing you know, you look up and it's graduation.
Yeah, totally. Adjusting back from the summer internship this summer, I was in New York, and then coming back and getting used to no Fridays again, which was awesome. But now already I'm planning my departure on Sunday for my DWC to Rwanda and a quick pre-trip before to Kenya for a safari. So it's just flown by. I blinked.
Can we talk about your Darden Worldwide course real quick, or DWCs as they're known here at Darden? So how did you decide you wanted to go to Rwanda?
Yeah, I wanted to pick a spot where I wouldn't necessarily see myself going or wouldn't be the most convenient to get to. Obviously, being directly across the globe, it does take a good bit of time to get there. So we'll be flying for about 24 hours travel time each way. So not insignificant. And with fall break, it lends itself nicely to the longer duration for a trip. But also just something so unique. I've never been to Eastern Africa before. There's parts of the economy that are so new to me. Rwanda is branded as the Singapore of Africa, and that seems super cool. So just wanted to pick something super unique that wouldn't necessarily be accessible otherwise or as convenient to get to.
Do you know what you'll be doing while you're there?
Yeah, we've got an awesome itinerary planned. We'll be doing a company visit with an organization called Zipline, and they do drone delivery, largely for medical supplies. Quite incredible. We'll be visiting an orphanage. We'll be learning about the Rwandan genocide. It only happened just not long ago, so there's a lot of people to tell stories, and there's a memorial which we'll be visiting, which will be awesome. We'll be doing a safari within the parameters of the trip, even included for a day of our itinerary, which will be awesome. And I'll also be getting a chance to see the gorillas of Rwanda, really notable and famous there. So very, very much looking forward to that.
So you're doing two safaris. You mentioned the side trip you're taking in Kenya, and you're also going to be doing a safari in Rwanda. That's awesome. Yeah,
the safari included in the school trip was not known initially when we booked the advanced safari, but very much looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Well, not uncommon for people to add side trips when they go on these Darden Worldwide courses, particularly if they're going far away to another part of the world that they haven't had a chance to spend as much time. You get all the way there, you might as well do a little exploring.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Madelyn, thanks again for coming on the podcast. We always ask the same first question of our guests. Tell us a little bit more about you. Who are you and what's your background?
Yes, absolutely. Appreciate you guys having me on. This is so fun. I've loved listening to the podcasts as a prospective student, and even now hearing some of my friends share their stories and learning things I didn't even know. It's crazy, but really appreciate it. So yeah, my name is Madelyn Merchant. I am now a second-year student and am from Los Angeles, California. I went to the University of Southern California, and shortly after undergrad, I worked a short stint as a ski instructor in Idaho, and then spent most of my career at Darden in Boston, most of my time at Wayfair, doing merchandising services for suppliers selling their products on Wayfair. And then before coming to Darden, last fall, I was in Bogota, Colombia for 6 months, working at a B2B e-commerce startup. Awesome experience. And now I've landed here and interned at MasterCard this past summer in New York City, doing product development for small businesses, building out a Gen AI solution to help them engage with customer reviews. And I'm really passionate about the financial literacy and financial inclusion space. So hope to use my Darden knowledge to contribute in that field one way, shape, or form.
I have to ask you about your story. The Wayfair to a B2B company in Bogota, Colombia. How did you get to Colombia? How did that land on your radar?
Yeah, the honest answer is a deep rabbit hole Google search of finding a short-term international business opportunity that was paid. Kind of hard to come across. Some opportunities require you to pay or it's a volunteer, but I wanted to figure out how I could work internationally and learn about doing business in another area. And B2B kind of lent itself to some of the stuff I was doing at Wayfair, which was awesome. But yeah, had never been to South America before, so thought it'd be fun to move there.
Did you enjoy your time there?
I loved it. It was phenomenal. And actually, I met my first Darden friends there. I I looked through the class WhatsApp group and searched the country code for Colombia, and just so happened my first Darden friend Carolina lived just a 10-minute walk away. So we were able to get coffee in Bogota before starting at Darden. And she tells people that I stalked her to find her and grab coffee, but I just wanted to meet some friends in Colombia.
And that's one of the great things about being an incoming student at Darden. There's lots of opportunities to connect before you even start class. And my sense of things, talking to incoming students, is that there's a lot of meeting up and getting together prior to the start of school.
Totally. Major cities across the world. The Darden's hosting meetups or just organically through the class WhatsApp group, I was able to just search the country code and say, hey, do you live nearby? Do you want to meet up? And we got coffee just around the corner from my apartment. It was awesome.
So, how did you get interested in Darden? What ultimately led you here?
Yeah, it's crazy. I was in Boston and there was a networking event, an MBA kind of meet and greet with different schools. And it was one of those cold days in Boston. And took a nap after work and didn't want to get back out of bed. It was 20 degrees. I was bargaining with myself, like, all right, Madeline, if you go to this on your way to work tomorrow, you can get the cinnamon bun on at your favorite coffee shop. And I'm like making deals with myself. And sure enough, I went kind of towards the end of the event, but there were a couple of schools I wanted to hit. And I'd known Darden, I'd known the case method, but there was Haley on the admissions team sitting at a table. And I just walked up and said, hey, and we ended up chatting for a while and stayed in close touch. And I fell in love with what the school offered, the community it represented. And she and I are still so close. We'll actually be getting coffee this afternoon to catch up. And I'm just forever grateful for her sharing more about what did the case method mean, what was life like in Charlottesville. But that ended up prompting me to take a visit to Charlottesville in November 2022. So I actually ended up applying round two of that year. But in November, I came down for a visit, and it just so happened that morning I woke up with a call from Haley. Madeline, are you okay? Where are you right now? And I was quite alarmed. I said, I'm in my hotel. I'm getting ready. I'll see you soon. And she said, no, unfortunately, our tours have been canceled today. There's been a shooting, and the school was in lockdown. And so then I was in lockdown in my hotel too, not realizing all of the circumstances. And that was a jarring experience, obviously. But I became obsessed with why is this happening? What happened? Is everybody okay? And what's going on in Charlottesville? And ultimately, I was able to reschedule all of my phone calls and or meetings that I was supposed to have with current students and professors. They were so kind to meet me on the phone as I drove back from Boston that day. But how Charlottesville came together after that situation was remarkable. Obviously, an awful and very sad story and situation, but the Charlottesville community was so strong. And I said, that's a community I want to be a part of. And that was really a force of yeah, what I imagine my business school experience to be like. I think Darden and the Charlottesville community is a place I want to be for it. So it started on a cold day in Boston, and now here we are.
Yeah, that day they reference during your visit to Charlottesville, not a day anyone affiliated with the UVA community will forget. And I can imagine how harrowing that might have been to be in a new place and have that messaging. But also amazing to see the community here at UVA and at Darden on display. It's obviously one of the great things about being a member of this community is how supportive and welcoming and just friendly people are.
Yeah, without a doubt. It was awesome. And I did have the fortune of coming back to tour grounds in January. So just a few months later, had a blast, was able to see everything firsthand and meet with the professors and students who were so kind to take my calls. And it was phenomenal.
I have a question for you. Do you ever think about the sort of sliding doors aspect of that? Like you're in your bed, you're maybe not interested in getting up after taking a nap, and like you bargain yourself into going to the event. You imagine a world where you didn't go to the event and like what might have happened. It's an interesting thing.
Totally. Totally. I try not to think about what would happen if I didn't, because obviously that may mean I'm not here right now. But I have a strong motto that you're more likely to regret the things that you don't do rather than the things that you do. So always say yes and just jump in. But I know life's crazy.
Well, you're here. Talk to us about the adjustment to business school. What was that what were the first few months of your first year like?
Yeah, certainly. I remember the end of week 3 saying, "Holy cow, how have 3 weeks passed already?" But also, I've been awake for most hours of every day for the past 3 weeks. So I feel like you really dive in head first, meeting a ton of people. It is fun, it's exciting, it's exhilarating, it's exhausting, it's everything. But getting to know students throughout that time and building a community and bonding with my learning team was awesome. We were loyal till the end with working through cases, but relying on those support systems was so crucial to be successful in it. And I think just, yeah, you're drinking from the fire hose, but taking in as much as you possibly can and making the most of it. And um, yeah, it really pushes you outside your comfort zone, but in great ways. I did not know it was possible to get so many things done in 24 hours, but I had a second year last year tell me, well, you're going to be busy at Darden no matter what. So you might as well just be busy and productive. I'm like, all right, here we go.
A good way to look at it. What section were you?
Section E, go Eels.
I had a fair number of people from Section E here on the podcast. I think it has to be the most represented section in terms of in terms of podcast guests. I mean, that's just anecdotal off the top of my head, but what did you enjoy about being part of Section E?
Brett, I love that. I was the social section rep with my friend Nate. Excuse me, section social rep. I'm mixing up my words here with my friend Nate, and we got to plan all social festivities throughout the year. So whether we be preparing for pre-Darden Cup, we threw a party that was the theme dressed as something that starts with the letter E. That was a blast. Someone was Elmo, Eeyore, an egg. We had quite a few eggs, some explorers, Ernest Hemingway. Nate and I dressed as elderly people. That was a blast. And fostering community within the section was just so rewarding. So it would be the big things like that, but also the smaller aspects of during first coffee, we'd have Bodo's Bagels or play Mario Kart on the projectors or play bingo. Joyce in our section, newfound love for bingo. She got really into it. And it was just awesome to bring the section together in those ways. And the 69 people, 68 others are some of my favorite humans on this planet.
You know, people talk about the work and the challenge of Darden, the rigorous aspect of the educational experience. We sometimes don't talk about the fun enough. To hear that y'all were playing Mario Kart in your section or bingo when you had some downtime, I mean, I think that's also worth mentioning. It's also part of the Darden experience here.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You have to have fun. I mean, I think, yes, there's elements where you're challenging yourself and you're learning and you're pushing yourself, but you're doing it with awesome people and it's so rewarding. At the end of a Darden day, you feel accomplished. You've gotten a lot done. You've met with a lot of cool people and done awesome things. And I think there's that element where, yeah, you got to make life fun.
So did you come to Darden with a clear idea of what you wanted to do from a career standpoint, or did that evolve during your time in your first year?
Yeah, certainly. I think I've had kind of a centered North Star. I want to be in the social impact business space, and the financial literacy and financial inclusion area is something that I'm drawn to. I think Darden has helped me narrow in on it more. So I wouldn't be taking a drastic pivot, I would say. If I read my application essays, I think I would chuckle that things have changed a bit, or how I see getting A to B is a little bit different than maybe pre-Darden me would have defined. But I would say Darden has just really helped me hone in on how to get there and why I want to do it, as well as what that means for my next steps in 5, 10, 20 years from now.
What is it about financial literacy, financial inclusion that has really captured your interest and attention?
Yeah, I think I grew up with two parents who have business backgrounds and are pretty fluent in that area. And I felt it was challenging for me to learn about managing my own personal finances. And if it's hard for me with that background to learn about personal finances, what about the rest of the world? That's such a disadvantage. And I just don't think the systems are made to be convenient for people or to set them up for success in this realm. And then after living in Bogota, Colombia, and working at the startup there, we were doing basically DoorDash, but for corner stores, so small like gas station type inventory. And we would deliver the inventory to the stores within 24 hours. And it was really fascinating to me to see that the the store owners sometimes could not even afford to pay for their delivery at that time. They'd say, "Hey, can you come back in a few hours? I haven't had enough customers come in yet today. I haven't made enough money yet." And it's crazy what a line of credit could do to solve that solution. Charge it to a credit card or these digital payments we take for granted. So in the emerging markets too, it really fascinates me. There's so many ways we can improve people's quality of life because not only is that they can't afford the inventory for their store, that also means the people in their community who rely on the rice, beans, laundry detergent, Coca-Cola products, all the things they sell aren't able to get supplied for their own life and well-being. So it's a trickle-down effect. I think we can help people live a lot more, have more quality in their life with more access to financial resources.
Yeah, I appreciate all those points. I mean, banking or figuring out how to manage personal finances or different financial products, all of that is not easy to understand. It's overwhelming. And if you don't have someone to explain it to you, how do you learn? And so you're right that you can have a tremendous impact, not just on a person's life, but maybe also on the people that come after them, the generational aspect of this too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's huge. And it's been fun. I've been working in the Darden prep program and teaching business classes in a local women's prison here. It's called PrEP, Prison Reentry Education Program, and we're teaching business foundations and about personal finances. Last night we talked about supply chain of orange juice, but and inventory management and what does that mean? But even on a personal level, how do you know what type of checking account you should have? What fees are reasonable? Or how do you avoid getting more fees with a minimum balance? Or how can you maximize the interest you're earning on cash that you're not spending right now or with your investments that you want for the future? There's just so much in that space and uh, so much to learn and so much to be fixed, frankly. And I want to be a part of that.
I appreciate that. How did you decide that you wanted to get involved with the prison reentry program, PrEP as it's known?
Yeah, I had heard about it before coming to Darden, and through the website, learned about it and what they were doing, and I think it's just really impactful. I think a lot of people would agree that there's many challenges with the incarceration system, and there's a lot that we can do to improve the lives and quality of life for individuals that are there, but also when they're reentering the workforce. I think there's a lot of opportunities for organizations to provide second chance hiring or reentry programs to help people seamlessly transition back into their life and providing opportunities for themselves and their families.
Yeah, it sounds like a very powerful program. I've had a few people here on the podcast talk about it, and a lot of the people who participated in it talk about it as one of maybe the best thing that they've done at Darden, or one of the things that really stands out from their MBA experience, which is really compelling. If you think about all the things people do at Darden, it's a very full 2 years, and for that to be, maybe the number one thing or the thing that they're likely to remember is really, really notable.
Totally, totally. It is so rewarding. And it really puts things into perspective when last night we are driving home. The other three students who were teaching at the facility last night, my co-teacher and two other students teaching another class, we are just reflecting on we're so lucky to be going to our homes in our beds tonight, see our families, be able to have the comfort and flexibility. And there's individuals who by luck of the draw, have not had the fortune to seek the opportunities that we have. And it's it really puts things into perspective. It's powerful. And yeah, I'm really grateful to take part in it.
So you mentioned you spent the summer up in New York, MasterCard, and now here you are back for your second year. What classes are you taking, or what classes are you planning to take? Any courses that you would want to note here that you've been really excited about?
Yeah, absolutely. This quarter, I've been taking a sustainability management and reporting class and really enjoying that, talking about how companies are reporting on their sustainability measurement and what this means for environmental, social, and governance perspective, and how there's a lot of work to be done in the space in terms of mandating the reporting across different industries, companies, what's feasible, what's not. I've really enjoyed that. Also in a management planning and control systems class, which has been a blast, talking about incentive systems and how do you measure and track people and reward them to make sure that your business accomplishes things that you want to see done. It's very fascinating. And next quarter, I'll be taking a class on investments. I've heard really awesome things about it, as well as fintech. And I'll be in a Paths to Power class. This is a highly regarded class at Darden. With our case bidding process, we allocate points to classes that we want to take. And if you bid the most number of points, and you're included in the section. And that class took up a lot of my points, but I think it's going to be well worth it. And we'll be understanding how people handle power. And I'm really interested to see how I respond in situations when I have or do not have power, how I react, and how my management mindset works for others and with others.
It's interesting to hear about all of those classes. Obviously, pretty diverse slate of electives that you're considering. How did you decide which classes you wanted to take? This is a question we get from prospective students all the time. People always ask about concentrations and specializations. And what we will oftentimes share is those are there, but when we talk with students, you don't necessarily hear them guiding students' elective choices as much as you might think.
Yeah,
But how did you pick your electives?
absolutely. I think with the specializations, it's funny. I think I'm going to accidentally get a finance specialization. And if you would have told me that before choosing classes, I would have laughed. But I choose largely based on what class interests me. And then I also select based on what peers have said. So second years last year were really helpful to me saying, oh, this professor's awesome. And there's this one case where you talk about this cool topic, or this class is really engaging, and these are the types of things that you'll cover. And I really recommend like how the class is structured, or um, just I think based on interest, they thought it would be fun for me. So a lot through word of mouth, but then some just by interest, and you accidentally stumble into it, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that sounds it sounds like what I've heard from a lot of other students. I think it's sort of consistent with the group of students that ends up here at Darden. Darden is a school that's obviously put its reputation really on the educational experience. I think the people that end up here like learning, they like being in class, they like learning about lots of different kinds of things. I mean, that's sort of baked into the experience if you think about how broad the core curriculum is. And so not a huge surprise to hear people kind of pursuing lots of different interests as they
Yeah.
select their classes in their second year.
Totally, totally. And I think there's niches of classes where the professor's an expert in the area, or there's even a reading seminar on Thomas Jefferson I'm hoping to take next semester. But these are things that are just unique to the area too, where you can maximize. So not only is it just an awesome course, not necessarily a business specific, but Charlottesville specific, and how can you enrich your learning to the maximum possibility given the area you're at. So yeah, we have a great selection of courses. Feel grateful for that.
What other activities are you involved with? Second year is a time where people get maybe even more involved in clubs and organizations take on a leadership role potentially. So what are you involved with?
Yeah, top of mind right now for me is our ski trip. I'm a co-VP of skiing with my friend Andy, and we're part of the Darden Outdoors Club. So we have tons of activities throughout the year, from hiking and paddleboarding. And Andy and I will be leading the ski trip. Really looking forward to it. We'll be going to Park City in December, right after finals. We have been planning this trip since June, really was when we started working on contracts for housing. We've got lodging that's walking distance right to the mountain, got an itinerary planned with fun activities in the evenings for everybody. We'll be doing a penguin chase down Main Street in Park City. I'm really looking forward to that. And we're quite excited. The event or the trip sold out within 2 hours, which was awesome. So we increased last year's attendance by 10%. And we said, we do know a lot of people have been buzzing about it and a lot of people want to join the trip. And we'll have over 110 people coming. Right now, we're trying to secure more housing, but it's going to be awesome. So December 17th through 21, if you're in Park City, watch out. The Darden crew is going to be taking over.
Wow, that's amazing. That's like roughly a seventh of the full-time MBA
Yeah.
program
Yeah.
going to Park
Wow.
City together.
Wild. Yeah. It's
Wow,
going to be a blast.
yeah, I would say so. And there's also another ski trip, right? There's obviously that one that goes further out west, but there's one a little bit closer to home.
Yeah, then we'll also be going to Snowshoe in West Virginia, early February timeframe, which will be great. That trip also will probably take about a similar number of people, maybe a little bit less. Park City is obviously a massive mountain, and if you haven't skied before, it can be a bit intimidating. But Snowshoe's a great trip for those who aren't as comfortable or maybe even first time. And I'm looking forward to teaching friends, bring back my old ski instructor days and teach some people French fries and pizza. It's going to be great.
I appreciate that for someone like myself who has not skied much. The idea of going to Park City and skiing sounds a little intimidating. But I'm guessing
Absolutely.
people will probably just also sometimes go just to spend time with their classmates out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Some people who don't ski will still choose to come on the trip, and it's a blast. It's a winter wonderland. Main Street's adorable. There's a ton of shopping, the restaurants, the art galleries, snowshoeing, you name it. There's opportunities for anybody. But yeah, it can be intimidating. And if you do want to learn how to ski, Park City is a phenomenal mountain to do so, but snowshoes also a really great spot. So really looking forward to bringing the crew out there.
Right. Anything else that you'd want to mention here in terms of activities?
Yeah, I'm also involved with the Net Impact Board Fellows program. So I help lead this program of where we match Darden students to local nonprofits, and they sit on the board. And it's a really cool opportunity to learn about board governance and how boards make decisions, why they make decisions. A lot of us are studying or focusing and intend to go on post Darden to for-profit organizations, but nonprofits are largely impactful and have a lot of nuances in terms of how they operate and serve great benefit to the community. We work with organizations in the education space that are helping youth, that are helping animals, that are helping people who are sick, anywhere in between. And it's really awesome to be able to have that engagement with the community and have that tie. And for Darden students to have the opportunity to learn about what does this look like someday if you're on the board, or how can you contribute now as a student? And we'll have opportunities. We toured the SPCA of Charlottesville just a couple weeks ago and got to see their operations for homeless pets and how those animals are able to find homes, what that process looks like, how they're treated, what they do with donated food, and how they're working to optimize those operations. Organizations that are doing education curriculum. The nonprofit I sit on the board of does education curriculum, and they have phenomenal resources for educators and teachers, uh, largely within public schools, and how they manage to compete with huge for-profit organizations is really just magnificent. And each board has their own challenges or things that they're particularly strong doing. Maybe they are needing to fundraise, but their talent pool is really strong and they're able to pull from a large group of their board. And it's been fun. I've been working with my former strategy professor in core, Yojed. She teaches a corporate governance class, which I'm hoping to take in Q3. And she has great ideas on how boards can improve their operations and be more strategic. So it's been fun helping Darden students learn about that as well.
For those of you who are curious, Yo Jed Chang has been on the podcast before as part of our Office Hours series. We did talk about governance in that conversation, which is more than I've ever talked about governance in my entire life. So I really enjoyed the conversation. Obviously, she has a lot of passion for it. And it's not something you think about, but then when you hear stories in the news or you think about some companies that are in the news, maybe not being managed as well, oftentimes it comes down to governance and board structure and all of these kinds of things. So governance is extremely important.
Yeah, it's so important. And Yojed's the best. I know her session on this podcast is great. I love her.
A quick question for someone who might be interested in getting involved in the Board Fellows program. How do you say this is something I'd like to do? How do you get selected? Is there an application process? How does it work?
Totally. We've just refreshed our landing page on the website. So if you search on the Darden website or just simply Google Darden Board Fellows, you can see the webpage, learn more. We've got some pictures, information about organizations listed. Students can definitely email me. There is an application process that comes out in the springtime. And I'm glad you asked about this. As of right now, the program is currently tailored for second year Darden students to sit on the board of a local nonprofit. And they'll apply, express types of interests, organizations that are of interest to them, why they're interested in being on a board. And then we'll match accordingly based on nonprofits who are looking for a board fellow. And then we'll match the board fellows to those organizations for their second year. And meetings typically occur about once a month. Some boards meet quarterly. And then sometimes students have the opportunity to sit on committees within the board. So maybe there's a finance committee or an event committee for a specific gala that'll be had and helping to plan for that. Or if students want to take on projects around maybe a social media plan, or there's a particular event that they need help running and organizing volunteers for, students are able to get involved as they wish. But yeah, so I would love more second years to be involved, and we're excited to build the pipeline of board fellows come spring when recruitment comes out for that.
All right. Well, Madeline, is there anything else that you're looking forward to here in your second year? You mentioned things are really flying by. You got just a few quarters left. What's on your bucket list? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think just time with everybody. Things go so quickly, and I think taking moments to breathe. Cold calls are one of my favorite activities at Darden. Get everybody, professors, students, families out in Flagler Courtyard and just hanging out and enjoying a breath of fresh air. Right now it's been raining, but I'm looking forward to more sunny days ahead. And yeah, just really enjoying time with classmates, professors. Maybe even before the end of the year, one of my goals before coming to Darden was to write a case with a professor. And would really love the opportunity to do that, either to contribute to future curriculum for Darden students or contributing to papers to be spread even more broadly. That would be awesome. But yeah, I just want to hit the pause button or slow down. Everything's going fast, but it's going to be a great year ahead.
Do you have a sense of what you'd like to write a case about, or just an outline of an idea?
Yeah, totally. I've been talking with a professor, Serena Haggerty. She's in the marketing department, and she studies a lot on kind of how people are given recommendations based on their wealth. So there's statistics that show individuals or families that have less money are given advice that's geared towards saving more money rather than growing their wealth, where individuals, families that have more money are given recommendations and financial advice to grow their wealth and invest it. And it's hard because you can never have more money if you're just saving all the time. And there's a balance between how people can best be led to improve their financial situations for generations to come. So really would love to dive into that with her. I think it'd be a very interesting topic. Also yesterday, though, I was talking to Rob, who is the president of the foundation of Darden. We were talking about it'd be really cool to write a case on school foundations, how they exist, what they do, why they do what they do. So maybe that'd be an opportunity as well.
All right, so potentially a couple ideas. I think it's so
Yeah.
cool that students can do this case writing thing and maybe potentially contribute to the case catalog and a case that gets used in a future class.
Yeah, absolutely. Really special opportunity.
Well, last question for you here. What's a piece of advice you would share with our prospective student listeners, something you would encourage them to think about as they consider their own MBA journeys?
Yeah. I think one of the most rewarding things I've done at Darden has been meeting with professors outside of class. And I set a goal for myself to meet with professors at least once out of class every quarter. Sometimes it's in settings where we're having a dinner outside of class or individually just in office hours. But I found this to be largely rewarding. Darden professors care and they really want to see students succeed. And they're incredible human beings. And the areas they have expertise in, you can just see their eyes light up when they talk about it. And I've loved learning from all of my professors and getting to know them more on a personal level. But I would say for incoming students, it's been very rewarding, very fun. But even on another side, just enjoy yourself at Darden. And business school is a great time to just get to know new people, and uh, you'll learn about cultures and countries that you've never heard of before, or languages you never knew. And what an awesome opportunity to be a sponge. So just take it all in. I think back to the start of our conversation, say yes, because you never know if you hit snooze or continue napping or don't seize the day on the opportunity, you might miss out. You're more likely to regret what you don't do. So just say yes.
I love that advice, Madeline. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and have a great time on the ski trip. That sounds like so much fun. And best of luck in your second year. I know things are moving very quickly, but it sounds like you've got a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, thanks so much, Brett, for having me. This is awesome. Hope you guys have a great day.
And that was my conversation with Madelyn Merchant, a second-year student in our full-time MBA class of 2025. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions, requests, anything you'd like for us to cover here on the podcast, we're all ears. We can be reached at Darden, that's DARDEN, @virginia.edu. Until next time, stay safe, be well, and thanks for listening.